What happened to the smartest kid in your class? Story 1. Guy had 3 scholarship offers, lasted 1 year in uni before jumping off a building. Feel sorry for him and his family. I was in a really dark place at the start of this year during my first week of uni. I was the stereotypical gifted kid during secondary school in 6th form, 12 to 18 education total in the UK, especially during secondary. The teachers would have me check their answers, and if I got a different result to the textbook, they'd have to come in as a mediator to see who's right. I wanted to unalive myself during my first university year. I still struggle with the thoughts. This was made worse by my depression affecting my results, making my grades and performance drop. And because I for so long had valued myself according to academic achievement, it really burned. I felt especially worthless. There's a bridge on the way to the train station in university. It's not a big drop, but it's right above a motorway. I thought about jumping off a lot. I resonate with this story. I can only hope that I don't head back into that dark place when my second year starts. Edit. Wow, this was really heartwarming. I'm so happy so many of you replied. I really didn't expect you to. I was replying to every comment individually, but I just did a scroll through and realized that there are so many more that I thought. You're all so very kind. And you're all strangers to me. It means even more. People who don't know me at all have such a capacity to be kind to me and love me and share their own stories. It's so human. It means a lot for someone who hasn't had many friendships that are genuine. Thank you all so much. You're all amazing. It means so much to me that you all replied, and I'm sorry I myself can't reply to all of you. I started, but it's just a lot. Thank you all. Also, rest assured, I am getting therapy. I am on medication. It's a journey, but I'm doing my best. I can say I'm at a position where I don't want to unalive myself anymore. That's not saying that I won't want to in the future or that I don't still have thoughts from time to time, or even that I'm ready to live. But I at least go through my day generally not wanting to expire. It's a start, right? Just worth mentioning, life is not a race or a competition. You have all of your remaining years to get a degree, and you can only stay alive in the present. I try to ensure your survival first and foremost. Don't be afraid to make changes necessary for your survival. Taking time away from education to seek necessary treatment is a much smaller bump in the road than your body. Take care and stay aware. Oh, deity, so much this. I also was the stereotypical gifted kid throughout school and even at university. I studied law because it came to me easily and was fun. And back then I still believed that economic success and prestige were the most important things in life, and that I had to live up to the possibilities given to me by luck of the draw with regard to smartness/ease of learning. Developed an eating disorder from the pressure to succeed, and because I was not at all adjusted to all the responsibilities of adult life. Started intensive therapy to overcome the ED and deal with life better, but still went through the practical education in law. Here in Germany, after uni and the first set of exams, which exclusively deal with the theoretical side of law, you have to do 2 years of a more practical education in working in the different fields of law and take another set of exams. During that time, I had 2 minor breakdowns which I didn't recognize as burnout back then, but which in hindsight were clear signs of me being overwhelmed. Took the exams, got the first job I applied to, and started working as a lawyer in a big firm. I liked the field I worked in, renewable energies, but hated every single day of work because I constantly felt overwhelmed, inadequate, and terribly scared of failing. Social contacts and things to do for fun fell by the wayside because I simply didn't have any energy left for them after putting everything into trying to cope with work. Managed to do 2.5 years of that until my body said, "Nope, not doing this anymore," and gave me a really bad burnout. Took 5 whole years of doing nothing and 2 inpatient treatments, which were thankfully possible due to the German social and healthcare systems, to recover enough to think about working again, though never in my original field of law. Now I work a part-time job in a super small publishing house, way beyond my facilities and making way less money, and I've never been happier in all my life. I no longer feel constantly overwhelmed or scared to fail because I've set my bars a lot lower. What I learned from all of this is that education, money, prestige, all that is not worth anything if you're not happy doing what you do, except for the odd bad day or annoying task, which are inevitable and normal. I don't regret my way to where I am, despite all the pits I fell into along the way, because I wouldn't know how to appreciate what I am now without it. But the thing is, if you learn to listen to yourself, and with the right medical care, because antidepressants also helped a lot in my recovery and my current everyday life, you can find what makes you happy, and it may not be what you thought it would be. Edit. Oh, wow. Thank you, kind strangers, for the awards. I honestly appreciate them. Edit 2. Hey guys, I just wanted to come on here one more time and express my sincere thanks to all of you who interacted with my comment and had kind conversations with me. I've had 2 very stressful weeks at work. Thankfully, not a regular thing, but sometimes stuff just happens, and felt a bit exhausted and overwhelmed from that. And I didn't think this weekend would be enough to recover fully. But just now I realized that I do feel a lot better than I did this morning, and I think it might have to do with the heartfelt and kind interactions I've had with you guys on this thread. So thank you for helping me feel better. It really sounds like it touches on a lot of us just getting pressure to be what we're going to be at the end of college, ready to take on this career, and to be, let's face it, to be what a lot of parents want us to be. They want us to be successful for their own reasons, or maybe they really do want us to be happy. Sometimes you just need to take a little detour in the path to figure out where you actually want to be. Story 2. After never having even smoked a cigarette or drank alcohol in high school, straight A's all the way through, he got a full ride to a really good university. As a freshman, he dropped acid, walked out in front of a car, and was unalived. Sort of reminds me of a college friend. He was straight, no illicit substances, alcohol. I think he even stayed away from caffeine. Said addiction ran in his family, so it made sense. Decided, though, that immediately after graduation he wanted a huge party and had his first alcohol. Got insanely trashed, but survived for about 20 years. He died of liver failure due to severe alcoholism at the age of 41. I hate that I remember where he was, where it started, but what did we know? I found out years ago that I had one of the lowest cholesterol levels ever measured. Great! Except that the doctor warned that I could easily become addicted to alcohol, something shared with Native Americans, of which I share blood. Never a drinker, smoker, or coffee or caffeine user, ever, even before the news. Now, I have to look this low cholesterol Native American thing up. My brother and I are both an 8th Lakota from my dad's side. We both have consistently low cholesterol. When an idiot physician put me on statins, I humored him after tiring of arguing with him that my cholesterol was already low enough, and my cholesterol plummeted. I ended up with severe and increasing muscle cramps, and my mood, I already live with depression for other reasons, crashed. I won't make that mistake again. Oh, and it doesn't matter what I or my brother eat. Nutritionist-blessed superfoods or pure fast food junk, the cholesterol level don't budge. My brother and I also share a predisposition to elevated blood sugar. I managed to get all the way to type 2 diabetes a couple years ago. My brother hovers in the pre-diabetic range. Now that I'm no longer working at an extremely stressful job, cortisol levels for the loss, my blood sugar is back down into pre-diabetic range. Funny how that works. I drank for a few years, binge drinking at its worst, and I know my brother tried alcohol. Neither of us ended up addicted to alcohol or any other substance. My brother never really drank beyond the initial trial drinks. And one day, I decided I didn't like hangovers, so I stopped drinking. I will still have one glass of wine, beer, champagne at special events like weddings or 50th anniversaries or 100th birthdays, but I usually don't bother. My brother is the same, one token glass for toasts. But I definitely had the mutant alcohol here's a word I don't know, dehydrogenase gene. You'll have to tell me if I got that right or wrong. Seen in Native American populations. He got completely lit on very little alcohol and did so frequently. One time he went out drinking with work buddies and woke up in Mexico. Well, the bar was just a short walk from the airport. Anyways, I'm off to go look up low cholesterol in Native Americans. I had no idea about this. My mom used to swear up and down we had Native American blood, but she couldn't prove it. My dad told me later it's because our ancestors were stay-behind Indians on the Trail of Tears. Fascinating story. Anyway, I also have one of the lowest cholesterols my doctor has ever seen. High blood sugar, even though I eat very healthy, and alcoholism in my family. Mom's story is checking out. Interesting how we got from the smartest kid in class to discussion on predisposition to low cholesterol and alcoholism. But yeah, I'm not saying that if you haven't tried alcohol before that you should do it and get it over with, but it's just kind of hard that you just decide to do that in celebration and you can't handle it. I guess it's just kind of one or the other. I haven't really had a drink or anything like that in decades. Story 3. Fentanyl happened to her. Married the most abusive guy ever and had 3 kids. Divorced. Fentanyl is so deity damn destructive. I see their tragic stories play out every shift I work. It's soul draining. I used fentanyl for a time. I read a comment here once that went, "You have to be lucky every time you use fentanyl. You only have to be unlucky once." Reading that made me get on methadone. I'm on methadone myself. It's been the biggest difference maker and should be way more prominent than it is as a treatment option. It's a shame many have to go through bouts of detox and rehab and relapse before getting on medically assisted therapy. For some reason, it's treated as a last resort when it should be one of the first resorts. That and boop. Boop? B-U-P-E? I'm not sure what they're saying there. Interestingly enough, I was also number 2 in my high school class of 250. Started abusing opioids at 24. I'm 36 now. I work a normal tech job as an account manager for clients. I make good money, but I certainly never reached the potential I should have career-wise. My life's accomplishments never met the expectations I had for myself as a teenager. Illicit substances have a lot to do with that. Opioids are indeed destructive. It's just sounding like overall, these people have these huge goals for themselves that just seem to be tied to this belief that if you do good in school, you're going to do better everywhere in life. And once the real life starts to creep in and integrate itself, people are just finding different ways to cope, and they're usually destructive. Story 4. I believe he works for NASA. He deleted his Facebook a while ago, like the smartest kid in our class would do. But that's what he was doing last I checked. I have no idea if she was the smartest in her class, but I know someone who is an astrophysicist at NASA. She got laid off when they closed the space shuttle program and became a cashier at Panera. Well, that's wild. Do you know if she tried to switch departments or anything? That seems like a big career difference. Oh, I have no idea. I didn't want to ask. I just assumed it was hard to get that type of job in Florida at the time. The father of a friend of mine also got laid off as a physicist from a huge aerospace company and could only find a job as a bookkeeper. I understand, and I thought because the government is everywhere that they would be able to shift to a different area of focus. Your friend's situation is crazy, too. I hope they both are at least happy with their jobs. Thanks for the update. Story 5. He got sick with a rare stomach disease and isn't doing too good. A guy I got hired as a chemical engineer seems really intelligent and just went off work around 5 or 6 months ago with a rare stomach disease. Wonder if it's the same person. So, ironically, the smartest kid in our class was me, bar was low, and me and my sisters all have a rare stomach thing. I presented first, got the shish kebab treatment, had a very sucky 5 years, then it stopped. Right around the time my older sister started dealing with it. It will rear its head every few years for a month or just a weekend, but overall I'm completely unaffected now. Either that or my ability to adjust to a baseline is way up. But my sisters both deal with it daily. Their symptoms are less than I went through, but have stuck around longer. I figure I speed run it on hard mode. That's ironic. What's more ironic is I was the dumbest kid in my class and my tummy is fine. Someone smarter than me should research the correlation.
Please like and subscribe if you made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day.
Story 6. He's in jail for unaliving. Came as a surprise. I'm gonna need you to elaborate on that. He was a really nice, friendly guy. Didn't expect him to ever be violent. Then one day I read he shot his business partner execution style. I'm going to need you to elaborate much more on that, this time in the form of a limited docuseries. It's hard to elaborate on something I don't really know all that much about, sadly. In school, he was known for being super friendly and helpful to all the other students in class. Even held study groups and stuff. A few years later, I read he unalived his business partner and that he got connected to a bunch of fraud and embezzlement cases. Bro, the true crime addicts need you. Step up. True crime addicts when violent things happen in someone's real life. Tell me every little detail. I love this. That kind of behavior reminds me of a couple of episodes from the new Black Mirror series. One, that we're really obsessed with these documentaries of true crime. And two, from the first episode, and also from The Matrix, we don't accept a perfect or really good universe happening to us. We're more accepting when things are going bad and awful. And that drives us somehow. Story 7. There are two. I remember one of them crying when they got an A- on a test in like 7th grade. One of them, the one who cried, is an executive in a Fortune 500 company. Nothing special, but making a lot of money. The other one is a brain surgeon. Sounds like my cousin. She had a complete breakdown from getting an A- on a test. But her father was also super physically abusive if she got anything less than a 100%. Even as a young child, coloring outside the lines was not allowed. She's now a teacher with an Instagram perfect life. It's far from perfect. I didn't realize that was a thing until in 7th grade when my buddy got a B+, and he started hyperventilating and crying because my dad is gonna beat my butt, as he said. Came to school with black eyes and Child Protection Services was involved by the end of the day, as everyone remembered him freaking out. Story 8. Superstar pediatric neurosurgeon. Most confident person I've ever met. Guess you'd have to be to cut open a little kid's skull and operate on their brain. I saw an interview during a documentary when a surgeon said something to the effect of, "Yeah, I come off arrogant at times, but do you want a surgeon who's not extremely confident in their abilities? The gift is self-awareness here. I trust him with my life. I want supreme confidence in my surgeons. I want supreme suspicion from my anesthesiologists. I want level-headedness from my specialists." He picked up the scalpel and held it ahead, the shape of disquiet, the structure of dread. He looked at his patient and frowned with a sigh. He whispered, "I guess I could give it a try." Story 9. Got a full ride to Harvard. Did an internship his first summer at Intel and was unalived by a drunk driver a few weeks after arriving in California. Absolutely couldn't believe it when it happened 25 years ago. Still can't, really. I was playing a game on Discord one night, and this guy my friend and I hadn't talked to in years was unalived that night. One of the dudes on the Discord was still close with him. It was totally awful. He was absolutely mutilated. Nicest, most intelligent guy unalived by a drunk driver. We were literally making jokes about us hanging out the night before and how he hadn't heard from him in a long time. Back then, I was ignorant and would drive if I felt fine, but that was such a horrible thing. And I feel like a piece of poop nowadays that it had to really resonate with me to understand. Someone taking the life of anyone that hasn't had a chance to live it for literally no reason whatsoever. Taking a life, period. But it hit way harder knowing the guy and who he was. Story 10. The smartest kid in my school was really popular and was one of my closest friends. But when he graduated, he left everyone and everything behind, including his family. He even changed his name. I found out this little bit of information because a friend went to an academic conference and showed me a group photo, and he was in it. I exclaimed, "That's my friend Pascal." He kept his first name, but his last name was an anagram of his original name. I knew a guy who did this, one of my best friend's older brother. He got a degree in German and moved to South Korea for a little while. Next thing we know, he had moved back to his native state, but to a small town, and had taken on a whole new persona, different names and all. Apparently, he spoke with a German accent in his new life. We met a guy who only knew him as the new version. That conversation was wild. I had an anatomy professor who went to med school in the UK in his 20s, came back 5 years later and changed his name and used a super thick British accent. Story 11. My best friend, at the time, we drifted apart and speak only rarely now. He got a PhD at Harvard, studied science in Antarctica, and now teaches at an Ivy League university. Remember what we used to do and how it used to be? I always knew to count on you, and you depend on me. I guess we drifted out of touch, but that's the thing, they say. It's not that friendships end as such, they simply slip away. It's the first time seeing you write a poem that's not funny, but equally or maybe better than your usual ones. Damn. Story 12. Dropped out of college to marry and support the much younger woman he got pregnant. Now, 30 years later, owns a board game store with a large back room for mini painting and games, and plays dad to half the neurodivergent kids in town. Still married to the same woman, too. It's not a high-flying life, but he makes a difference to so many people. Edit. Wow, this blew up. To make y'all feel better, he was 23, I think, and she was 18. A big age gap when you're young. It was also in the Netherlands, where at least at the time, I've been gone a while, we didn't really care so much as long as it wasn't a 10-year difference or one of them was under 15. Teenagers have intimacy drives, it happens. This is the most wholesome thing on here. Story 13. When I was in middle school, we had a super smart kid join later on in the semester that was always teased because he was above everyone else mentally. I think in 8th grade he was doing 10th or 11th grade mathematics. Any test that he took he passed with flying colors, hardly even studying. He befriended me. I was kind of quiet in middle school because of stuff going on at home. His mom always made me an extra sandwich whenever she made his lunch. I lost contact after graduation, but a few years later, when I was a sophomore in college, I decided to look him up on Facebook and couldn't believe what I saw. There was my friend, the Brainiac, smoking salvia out of a huge bong as his profile picture. I think he had to take it down because when I looked him up again, he had pics of him drinking out of a funnel. Story 14. Had a full ride through Berkeley. Ended up experimenting with a lot of hallucinogens. Started to believe he was a star child or starseed and was from another planet. Ended up starving himself in a national park to perish with the Earth so he can meet the other star children. Totally miss and love you, buddy. Edit. It has come to my attention there is a Berkeley, L-E-E, and a Berkeley, L-E-Y. He was the smartest kid, not me. So I'm updating this to add the correct college. Dude, I know a schizophrenic person who went off about starseeds and whatnot. It's terrifying to watch when you know how they used to be. Story 15. He went to MIT, works for Apple, and has a very expensive home in California. He also has a wife and 4 kids and seems to be very happy. I remember he was programming games in high school and was valedictorian. A big nerd who became a big wealthy nerd. Smart kid. The happy ending. I don't know why many people shame nerds. They become successful people in the long run. There are very few short-term immediate rewards for being smart in school. On the flip side, being attractive, athletic, outgoing, or a jerkwad, etc. have immediate rewards, attention. Teenage kids can be pretty cruel to each other. Story 16. He moved to Poland and became a molecular biologist. Not sure why, but I read this as muscular biologist, which made me cackle. He gave up brains for gains. Story 17. Disappeared into a shadowy government job. Poof! Gone. Edit. Wow, this exploded. Almost like the U.S. government headhunts like any other business, I guess. Same here. He joined the Navy, then nothing for years. Then he posted a pic of him on the deck of a ship in what looked like an astronaut-level diving rig. Then nothing. I'm so intrigued. Next smartest was Marsok. Story 18. I had such a big crush on her and told her. We dated. She moved across the country to study and is now a doctor. So proud of her, even though our lives changed paths. Funny enough, the same thing happened to me. Except after I confessed my feelings, she never talked to me again.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.